Hello there and welcome back to my channel, or if you are new here, then welcome. I've got you zoomed in a little bit closer already because I cannot wait to try out the Colourpop 1111 collection. I have the full collection here in front of me. I have, of course, the beautiful eyeshadow palette. This is just so stunning. I have the blushes, the eyeshadow sticks, as well as the lipsticks, and I cannot wait to just play with everything and see how this goes. This is like an angel vibes collection, and I have my cute little angel earrings here. I did thrift these, but I'm going to show you swatches of everything up close. We'll do some live swatches of everything, and then I'm going to come back and do some lip swatches of all the lipsticks as well. So if all that sounds interesting, then let's go ahead and get started. Okay, I have everything laid out here that I'm going to be doing swatches of all the products in this collection. This is such a beautiful collection. I had to have it when it first came out. Okay, why don't we first start out with some live swatches of the 1111 eyeshadow palette. Boy, this is one stunning palette. I love tones like this. I know for some people they might think tones like this are boring, but this to me is beautiful, just perfection. So we're going to start with some live swatches of this palette, and then I will be comparing it also to the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude, but let's swatch this one out first. I'm going to kind of keep the swatches small because I want to put the Natasha Denona palette over here, so I'm going to keep them small so I can compare them later. I believe this shade is like a glitter, yeah, it kind of does look like a little bit like, but it doesn't feel chunky though. But I did want to point that out. It feels really smooth. Okay, well my tattoo's going to kind of get in the way, so I guess I'm going to have to start swatching them up here anyway. Honestly, I hate swatching it and ruin all the pretty little embossings in the pan. Okay, here are all the swatches. Absolutely beautiful. And they swatched all really beautifully. Even this shade that's more like a, I guess it's like a type of glitter. It doesn't feel really rough or anything, and it went on pretty smoothly. Okay, next up we have these really beautiful powder blushes. I'm just going to go ahead and say that this shade right here, which is the shade Good Energy, something tells me that's going to be my favorite out of the group. But let's swatch all three of these. And we'll start with this shade, which was Good Energy. They're so soft. Now that, let me see if I can build that up a little bit. That's a really soft blush. You can see it a little bit, but I'm hoping it'll show up better on the cheeks. Okay, next up we have this one, which is in the shade Claim It. These don't swatch well. I'm hoping they'll perform better on the cheek, but they just do not swatch that good at all. And then lastly we have our deepest shade, which is the shade Message Me. Well, they don't swatch the greatest, but I'm hoping they'll perform better on the cheeks. But I'm not really impressed with them in swatches, but the true test is how they perform on my cheeks. Okay, then 3 eyeshadow sticks were included in this collection. You know, I used not to care much for eyeshadow sticks, but now I really do actually like them. And this one is in the shade Angel Vibes, and it describes this as a metallic. Oh, now that is stunning. Ooh. Then we have this one, which is Give Me a Sign, and this is a matte. Oh, these are nice. They're really creamy. There's no dragging. These are really nice. Then we have the shade Celestial, which is a metallic. Oh, wow. These are gorgeous. Can't wait to put those on the eyes. Those are beautiful. And then we had 4 shades of the Luxe lipsticks. Okay, we're going to start with this shade, which is the shade Feeling Angelic. Then this shade is Digits. Those look kind of similar in a swatch. Then we have the shade So Magnetic. And then we have the shade Aligned. You know, there's not much difference between these two, or really these two. I don't know how they'll look on the lips, but based on the swatches, these, I don't know. They all lean kind of more on the brown side, which there's nothing wrong with that, but I wish there was one that leaned a little bit more on the pink side. So I don't know. I just think they all look way too similar for my personal taste. They're beautiful colors, but they're just a little bit too similar. They all just look like the same shade, just a little bit deeper each time, and I don't know. I'm going to wait to see. I've never tried Colourpop's Luxe lipsticks before. I've never tried them before. I'm going to see how they do, but I'm not really impressed with those based on just the swatches. I would have loved to have seen at least one shade be more of a pink. Okay, here are the 2 palettes side by side. If I hold them like that, there's a reflection, so I'm trying to hold it a little bit flatter so you can see the shades together. Let's see. Maybe pull it out like this and show you this way. And I went through and did some swatches of some shades that I felt like looked similar to each other, but they're definitely not spot-on dupes, for sure. Like, these palettes are different once you actually start comparing shades. So here are the ones that I felt like were the most similar to each other, but they're not perfect matches to each other at all, but they had more of a similar vibe. So up here we have the shade Balanced from the Colourpop palette and the shade Mia from the Natasha Denona. Then over here we have Protection from Colourpop and Wit from Natasha Denona. Major Change, Colourpop, Filigree, Natasha Denona. Then this one is Lucky Babe from Colourpop and Stone from Natasha Denona. Empowered from Colourpop and Silhouette from Natasha Denona. These were the only ones that I felt were the closest to each other, but even then, they're not dupes for one another. So I feel like if you have one palette, then you wouldn't have the same palette if you bought the other one either. But I did want to just point all of this out, just in case you were interested in seeing a comparison between the two. Okay, I got you zoomed in even more because I want to do, before I put on foundation or anything on my face, I want to do some lip swatches, because if you watched the hand swatches, because I will have timestamps where you can skip around if you'd like, you'll notice that these lipsticks, they looked the same on my hand. They really did. They were all like the same shade of brown, just a little bit of a difference each time, like just a little bit darker each time. So I want to put them all on my lips and see how they look like that. I don't know how I feel about these because I'm just someone that prefers more of a pinky nude, but we'll give this a go and see how they perform. Now this first one, this one is in the shade Feeling Angelic. So let's see. That's Feeling Angelic. It's not a bad shade. It's pretty. It's quite pretty. I just prefer more of a pinky nude for myself personally, but if you are into brown lipsticks, then that is pretty. This is kind of what I mean. Here's the Colourpop lipstick, and then here is my favorite lipstick from e.l.f., which is in the shade Dirty Talk, their O-Face satin lipstick. That has much more of that pinky nude vibe. This is what I mean. I would have loved to have seen a shade like this included, at least one shade. But other than that, I mean, it feels pretty comfortable on the lips. I don't have, you know, it's not feeling weird or anything, but let me take this off and then we'll swatch the rest. I definitely wanted to do this before I applied any, kind of dapping my sponge over to get any of that. I used a little makeup remover wipe to get that off. I wanted to do this before I put on foundation because I knew that I'd be wiping off so many lipsticks. The next shade is Digits. And we got a little bit darker. So let's see. So there is a difference between that shade and the last shade. Now in a swatch on my hand, they didn't look different. That's pretty. Okay, this next shade is in So Magnetic. Oh my. That is beautiful, but not for me. But that would be beautiful on someone with a deeper skin tone. My lines are getting I'm getting a little red out here, so ignore that. And my skin's real sensitive, so it turns red easily. That's really beautiful. It's not really a shade I'd probably wear a lot, though. I'm just not, I'm very boring, and I prefer my little soft pink nudes. And then we have this shade, which is Aligned. But you can see the color at least. I'm getting a little messy with my lip lines here. I don't want you to see the color. They're all very beautiful. They really are. You know, they look better on the lips than they do in a swatch. Because in a swatch, to me, they look the same on my hand, but on my lips, there is a big difference between them. I think the first two are my favorite, of course, simply because they're a little bit lighter. I don't really wear dark lipstick, but they're very pretty. But if you have a deeper complexion, those last two would be beautiful on you. They'd be perfect for you. So I think for me with the lipsticks, I think Feeling Angelic and Digits would be my two favorite. Those were the two lightest. Those would be the ones I probably would get the most use out of. The other two are very beautiful, and I think they'd be perfect for right now during this time of the year. But I'm not really, I don't wear a lot of dark lipstick a lot. I think it's pretty, but I don't know. I don't know if it really looks good on me. I'm very fair. I know now somebody who is fair can rock dark lipsticks all they want. It's not really my preference, but I think that these two would be my favorites, and then the other two are okay. I think the other two, I would mix them in with a little bit of like a lip gloss or lip oil or something and kind of tone down the color a little bit, but they're still very beautiful. Okay, I'm going to do one look on this eye and then another look over here. So we're just going to focus on this side first. And I'm going to take the shade Protection on a detail crease brush from e.l.f. And we'll start running that in my crease. I'll build that up a little more. Didn't get enough on my brush. That is a really pretty shade. I love shades like that. They kind of have like a pinky peachy hue to them. Those are like usually my favorite shades to work with. Then I'm going to take the shade Right Path on a blending brush from e.l.f. and I'm going to start stamping that on this outer corner of my eye. I am going to be using those eyeshadow sticks as well in my looks too. I'm going to try to squeeze them in somehow. These are blending really nicely. No issues. Same great Colourpop formula. Then I'm going to go in with the shade Total Angel on a flat eyeshadow brush from e.l.f. Okay, I sprayed my brush, but it's hard to see if I got any on there good. Yeah, there's some pigment. This shade I feel like would apply better with your finger, but I want to apply it with this brush. Let me see if I can... Yeah, definitely better with your finger. It's just hard to get into that inner corner. But yeah, this is definitely a shade that needs to be applied with a finger because it didn't want to do the best on a brush. It wasn't bad, but yeah, definitely apply it like this. And go back around that with that detail crease brush. Just make sure everything's blended. Okay, then I'm going to go in with the shade Divine on a jkissa J5 brush with e.l.f. It's just like a really sharp liner brush, like that. And we'll try to do a little wing. That turned out a lot longer than I had initially meant to do. I meant to keep that a little bit shorter. That's fine. It's really easy to make a wing with that shadow. Went on really nicely. Okay, I'm just going to do some mascara and a lash on this side, and then I'll come back and finish up this lower lash line. I'm just wearing a half lash out here. This is the Ioni 3D Foaming Lash from the Bridal Suite collection, Soulmate Fluffy Full Feather, but I cut these. I ended up trimming them to look about, like that. These were the lashes that I wore in my last video that I mentioned were way too big for my liking, so I trimmed them into a half lash, and I like that way better. And the mascara I'm wearing is Milk's Kush Mascara, but I'll have everything listed for you below that I use. But I like this lash so much better as a half lash. It just looks so pretty and fluffy that way. Okay, and for the lower lash line, I'm going to use one of the shadow sticks. This one is in the shade So Celestial. And I'm going to run that on this lower lash line. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay, I'm only going to apply a little bit of that, and then let's drag the rest through with this little liner brush, because that is a lot more pigmented than I gave it credit for. Oh my. Easy to work with though, not struggling at all with blending that little dot out to go across my whole lower lash line. Wow, that is a stunning shade, and that was so easy to blend out. Wow. Take a little bit of this detail crease brush, and I took some of my face powder and just kind of running that under here a little bit just to kind of even that out, because that was a lot more pigmented than I initially expected. And then I'm going to take the shade Angel Eyes, which is a metallic, and I'm going to pop that right here on this inner corner. Oh wow, these are incredible. Okay, and here you have look number 1, all done. Okay, for look number 2, I'm going to start out with the shadow stick in the shade Give Me a Sign, which this one is described as a matte. I'm going to try to use it as like a base that we're just going to apply. Okay, you know what? No, let me go in with this blending brush from e.l.f. and start blending that out. That'll probably be better than my finger. The matte doesn't feel as creamy as the shimmer one, so I do want to point that out. It's still blending out, but it's not as creamy. It takes a little bit more of a tug to spread it across your eye. I've never tried a matte eyeshadow stick. I've tried shimmer formulas, but never a matte one. I don't think I have. I like the formula on the shimmer ones a little better. I just find they're a little bit more easier to blend. They're just so creamy. That's nice. I like that color. That'd be pretty for like a one and done, or if you want to put like a shimmer, just go over that and then you would be good to go. That's nice. Of course, we're gonna definitely go in with more of the palette, but I wanted to use all three of the eyeshadow sticks. Then I'm gonna take that same blending brush and go in with the shade Lucky Babe. This is more of a cool tone shade, but I thought it might be really pretty around the edges of this one, maybe. And this shade is really, really soft. I know I had to build it up a little bit in a swatch, so it's not gonna be too high contrast. And then I'm just taking some of my face powder, which is just the Rimmel Stay Matte Press powder, and I'm just going around the edges of that. Okay, but I might have developed a love for eyeshadow sticks. That's really pretty. Yes, it's not as creamy as the shimmer formula, but it's still blended out nicely. It's just a little bit more of a tug, but not bad. I like that. Okay, then I'm going to go in with the shade Manifest It. I'm going to try to take that on my finger. We'll see if I can get into the inner corner. I'm going to try this. I don't know how well I can get in there. Oh, wow. That is beautiful. It's really hard to get in that inner corner. I think I'm making it work. Okay, then I'm going to take the shade Empowered on that same blending brush. I didn't take much, just enough to lightly deepen this out over here, just a teeny bit. I didn't dip in a lot. Just enough to add a little bit more dimension. Then I'm going to go back in with the shade Defined on that J5 brush. I'm going to do another wing as well on this side just to even it out some. You know, my intention with these wings was to do a little short baby wing. And not short. Okay, I'm just going to do the same thing on this side, do that same half lash, and then I'll be right back to do the lower lash line. Okay, I'm going to go in with the shade Good Thoughts on that J5 brush from e.l.f. I'm going to take that and run that on this lower lash line. It might be a little light, so I can always go back in with another shade, which I think I'm going to have to because it looks really light. Of course, I don't know, it's building up a little nicely. Then I'm going to go in with the shade Balanced on that same brush. I'm just trying to use as many eyeshadows in this palette as possible. I'm going to take that and I'm going to run that on this beginning portion of my lower lash line. That's a really pretty shade. Just kind of flicking it this way. Don't know why. I'm just want it to be a little bit of subtle. Then I'm going to go back in with that Angel Vibes, and we're going to put that right there. And just kind of take this brush a little bit to blend it in a little bit. And then here is look number 2, all done. Okay, I got you zoomed out a little bit because I'm going to be going in with blushes now. I've already done foundation, bronzer, all that. I didn't wear any highlighter because I just want to see these blushes. There are 3 different ones here, but I'm going to try to use all 3. But first thing, this shade right here, Good Energy. This is the lightest shade, and I'm dying to see how this looks on its own. So I'm going to go in with this shade first. These blushes did not perform well in a swatch, So I'm hoping they'll apply better on the cheeks. Oh, look how pretty that is. It's so soft. This shade did not apply well in a swatch at all. Of course, not really all three of them didn't, but oh, I love that. I was just dying to use this shade by itself. I wanted to know because when I first bought this collection, I had already said in my head that this was going to probably be my favorite shade. So I really wanted to know what it was going to look like by itself. And I love it. It's so soft. Definitely angel vibes. Ooh. I was right. This is probably going to be my favorite. It's so pretty. It's like a very delicate pinky peach. Ooh. I love that so much. Wow. That's lovely. That is lovely. Well, I just want to put that on my other face and call it a day, but I want to use some of the other shades too. So I'm going to take this shade, which is Message Me. This is the deepest blush, and I'm going to try to keep that on this back portion. I'm just going to dip into this once because I can already see it all over that brush. So we're going to, oh my. Let me tap that off a little bit more and then go in. Oh. Okay, yeah, these definitely perform way better on the cheeks than they do in a swatch. Oh, wow. That is really pigmented and it's pretty. It's so pretty. Definitely a big difference here. I'll go in with this shade over here too to make them more even, but I just wanted, I wanted to see that shade by itself. Wow, this is stunning. That's so pretty. I'm kind of keep it back to this portion so I can put the middle shade on this cheek too, so I can kind of see what it looks like, but that's really pretty. Kind of making sure that's blended out really well because that was really pigmented. Okay, and then I'm going to take the shade Claim It, which is the mid-tone. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to dip into that once and then place that right out here. These are beautiful on the cheeks. In the hand swatches, no, but in the cheeks, beautiful. This side, though, is still my favorite. Of course, I mean, that's the one that's made for my skin tone anyway, but it's so pretty. They're all pretty, though. They're really all pretty, but that one is just so darling. But these are beautiful, too. Look at that. Ooh. I'm going to just kind of blend them together. I've tried to show them as bad. Of course, I'll be using these again in future videos by themselves, but I just wanted to wear all three of them today, too, just to kind of, just going to kind of lump these together now. And then I'm going to take this shade and maybe go over the top of this a little bit to kind of soften it maybe a little bit. But I am going to take a little bit of this shade and I'm going to place that over here too, just to kind of deepen this side up so it looks a little more even. And I'll go back in with the deepest shade too and keep that more on this portion. Okay, I did like the barest minimum of taps in this deepest shade, which is Message Me, just to kind of darken that up a little bit on this outer portion a little bit, just to make it match. Even though I'm not really going for matching today, I just wanted to use this collection. I feel like it took a while for this collection to get to me. And it might not have been that long. I feel like it was like 2 weeks or so before I got it. And I just could not wait to sit down and play with this collection. So I'm just excited and I want to apply everything that I can. And then I took a little bit of that lightest shade just to go over here a little bit over the top. I think that's pretty even. All three of them are beautiful though. They're really pretty. They didn't do so well on a swatch, but on the face, and that's what counts. And then for a lipstick, I'm going in with the shade Feeling Angelic, which was the lightest shade. I'm not going to do any lip liner. And there we have this finished look. Both eyes, and I used all three blushes on the cheeks. Honestly, I'm really impressed with everything. The lipsticks are not my favorite, but that is really personal preference. That's more so just, I prefer a pinky nude than a brown nude. But I mean, I don't know how they wear. I've never worn Colourpop lipsticks before, not their Luxe lipsticks, so I don't know how it might wear because it feels really creamy, so I feel like it's probably going to wear off. But now, for me, I don't mind reapplying lip products throughout the day. I don't mind touching up, but if you want your lipstick to last all day long, I don't know if this would really be it because it feels really hydrating, and usually formulas like that don't last. It's a pretty color, it's just not my shade. I just prefer a pinky nude. And I just feel like that would have been really pretty with this kind of palette too, especially since you have these more like pinky peachy shades. I think that would have been even prettier. But the eyeshadow palette is amazing, beautiful. I'm in love. I'm in love with this eyeshadow palette. This is stunning. I'm so happy that I have this in my collection. I might have many other similar ones, but I still wanted this one, and it's absolutely lovely. Performed really well. No issues with blending. Just perfect. The blushes I really do love. I think they're very, very pretty. Now, if I could only pick one, of course I would pick Good Energy, which is the lightest shade. That just looked like the most beautiful, effortless pink, peachy pink, I should say. Absolutely love that, but the other two shades are equally just as beautiful. It's just a preference thing. It's what you are looking for as well. But that shade, Good Energy, is definitely going to go into my little bag where I keep my favorite blushes. That one is definitely going to be joining them because that was beautiful. All three of them together, though, are beautiful as well. Can't complain there. The eyeshadow sticks, the shimmer formula is amazing. The matte formula did blend out really well, but it wasn't as creamy as the more metallic shades, so just bear that in mind. If you like eyeshadow sticks, you might prefer the shimmer formula. I believe that I do. Now, I think it did a beautiful job. It looks really pretty. I'm not seeing any issues. It blended out. I think I prefer the shimmer formula there. So personally, for me, I would definitely recommend, if you are looking to buy anything from this collection, then definitely I feel like you couldn't go wrong with the eyeshadow palette, the blushes, and depending on your preference with the eyeshadow sticks, whether you want the shimmer formula or the matte, I personally prefer the shimmers. The lipsticks, I would skip altogether, but that's just my opinion. If you love a brown lipstick, or if you have a deeper complexion, those darker nudes would be beautiful on you. Absolutely stunning for that reason. I'm just more into pinks than I am in the brown lipsticks, but they still feel really nice on the lips. And they definitely are different. Once you put them actually on your lips and not in swatches, they do look a lot different. In a swatch, they look too similar for me. But either way, it feels nice on the lips, and that's what counts. But I do hope that you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, I hope you will please consider leaving a like, a comment, or subscribing if you haven't already. It truly means the absolute world to me, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!